It began quietly, almost invisibly, in the forests of northeastern China. In the 1930s, Imperial Japan had ambitions that went far beyond tanks, ships, or conventional warfare. They were looking for an edge that could, in theory, decide conflicts before they began: biological research. And in Harbin, a city most maps barely remember, a laboratory emerged that would become the epicenter of one of the most secretive and controversial programs in modern history. It was called Unit 731. From the outside, the lab appeared unremarkable. Brick buildings, careful fencing, laboratories stocked with the latest equipment. But inside, it was the manifestation of an ideology that merged science with the machinery of war. Japan, like other world powers, had observed the potential of biological research, but the militaristic culture of the empire transformed cautious experimentation into an audacious gamble. The logic was simple. If you could manipulate life at its most fundamental levels, you could create strategic advantage on a scale no conventional weapon could match. Imperial Japan's broader ambitions gave Unit 731 purpose and protection. In the late 1930s, Japan was expanding aggressively across Asia. Every conquest provided not only territory but also logistical support, resources, and isolation from prying eyes. This was crucial because secrecy was central to the project's success. Unlike conventional armies, Unit 731 did not fight in the open. Its battles were waged in laboratories, offices, and controlled environments, arenas where the rules of morality were conveniently set aside in the name of science. The staff who populated Unit 731 were a peculiar mix of ambition and intellect. Doctors, engineers, and bureaucrats operated under a single guiding principle: data was paramount, human consequence secondary. Every observation was recorded meticulously, every variable controlled with military precision. Experiments were treated as projects, failures were analyzed, and successes celebrated internally, all in a bubble where the outside world was irrelevant. It was a laboratory run with the rigor of a corporation and the obsession of an empire. Japan was not alone in exploring biological weapons. Globally, the 1930s were a period of scientific experimentation with pathogens, with countries like Germany, Britain, and the United States investigating disease and chemical agents for strategic use. What distinguished Unit 731 was scale and ambition combined with near-total impunity. Where other programs faced scrutiny or ethical debate, Unit 731 was shielded by war, geography, and bureaucratic opacity. It became a machine not only for experimentation but for demonstrating what happens when scientific inquiry operates without accountability. As the 1940s began, Japan's military situation became increasingly complex. The empire required innovation to maintain its regional dominance, and Unit 731's research promised strategic advantage. Techniques were refined, protocols expanded, and the lab grew both physically and operationally. Infrastructure evolved to accommodate specialized laboratories, controlled environments, and logistical frameworks designed to support extensive experimentation. The staff were aware of the stakes, and they treated every procedure with rigorous attention to detail. This meticulousness was at once admirable and chilling. Efficiency was pursued with precision. Morality was relegated to the margins. While the world watched battles unfold across the Pacific, Unit 731 operated in quiet coordination with the military hierarchy. Reports were sent upward with precision, and military leadership valued the potential of biological research to provide tactical leverage. Every experiment was logged, analyzed, and framed as a contribution to victory. The facility functioned as a microcosm of the empire itself, a space where ambition, bureaucracy, and scientific reasoning merged to achieve objectives that seemed logical on paper, no matter how troubling in context. Expansion of the program mirrored Japan's strategic goals. Occupied territories supplied both resources and isolation. Staff were recruited carefully, trained rigorously, and conditioned to see their work as essential to national survival. Observations were transformed into reports, protocols were standardized, and outcomes were evaluated like metrics in a ledger. The bureaucratic machinery ensured not only operational efficiency but also the normalization of actions that outside the lab would have been unthinkable. By 1943, the program had reached full operational scale. Laboratories specialized further, environmental simulations were enhanced, and the administration of research became increasingly complex. Imperial Japan's leadership recognized the potential utility of the data being produced and encouraged meticulous record-keeping. Unit 731 had become a self-sufficient entity, capable of producing intelligence that could inform military strategy, and protected by layers of secrecy that insulated it from external scrutiny. At the same time, the global context intensified. Germany, Britain, and the United States were pursuing their own weapons programs, and the stakes for innovation were higher than ever. Japan's leadership saw biological research as a means to achieve parity or superiority in a conflict whose outcome remained uncertain. Within this pressure, Unit 731's operations gained urgency, and staff were expected to meet deadlines and deliver results with military efficiency. Observational rigor and analytical precision were emphasized, while moral considerations were often framed as secondary, abstract concerns. Throughout this period, internal culture reinforced the program's logic. Hierarchies were strict, compartmentalization ensured operational security, and personnel were trained to see the lab as a controlled universe where human variables were manageable and outcomes measurable. Competitions between units, recognition for precision, and strict adherence to procedure created an environment of internal accountability, one focused entirely on success metrics rather than ethical considerations. The result was a system where scientific reasoning and military strategy operated in concert, detached from human consequence. As the war progressed, the pressures on the Japanese military intensified. Allied victories, resource constraints, and strategic setbacks created urgency to leverage every advantage, including biological intelligence. Unit 731's research was thus integrated in principle into broader military planning. Findings were communicated to command, and protocols were adjusted to meet perceived operational requirements. The facility became a hub not only of research but of anticipation, a place where calculated preparation intersected with the unpredictable realities of global conflict. With Japan's defeat approaching, Unit 731 faced collapse. The leadership prioritized secrecy, instructing personnel to destroy records, cease operations, and secure remaining research materials. Despite these efforts, the existence and findings of the unit did not remain entirely hidden. Allied intelligence, particularly the United States, recognized the potential value of the data and made the controversial decision to grant immunity to certain personnel in exchange for their knowledge. This compromise preserved information while shielding participants from legal accountability, a morally complex outcome that continues to spark historical debate. In post-war years, investigations into Unit 731 were partial and incomplete. The full scope of operations was obscured by destroyed documents, restricted access, and geopolitical considerations. Historians pieced together fragments from surviving reports, eyewitness accounts, and declassified intelligence, revealing both the ambition and the bureaucratic rigor of the program. Unit 731 became a symbol of what can occur when scientific ingenuity is divorced from ethical responsibility, a stark reminder that order and efficiency alone cannot justify action. Reflecting on Unit 731 provides lessons far beyond history textbooks. It illustrates how unchecked ambition, combined with bureaucratic discipline, can produce consequences that are ethically catastrophic. It demonstrates the risks inherent when scientific inquiry is subjugated entirely to military or political objectives. Most importantly, it challenges us to consider the responsibilities of scientists, policymakers, and societies to ensure that knowledge is never weaponized at the expense of humanity. Unit 731 was a facility, a program, a calculated enterprise, but above all, it was a warning. Its existence reminds us that technological or scientific achievement without moral grounding is incomplete and potentially dangerous. The world survived its experiments, but the lessons endure. Accountability, ethical oversight, and historical memory are essential shields against repeating such errors. Knowledge, authority, and ambition are powerful tools, but without conscience, they are also weapons. The story of Unit 731 ends not with drama or spectacle, but with reflection. It is a chapter that asks difficult questions about the limits of human ambition and the responsibilities that accompany knowledge. The lab in Harbin is gone, but its legacy persists in the caution it provides to remember, to reflect, and to ensure that scientific pursuit never abandons the moral compass that must guide it. History, after all, is not just a record of events, it is a warning, and Unit 731 is one of its starkest.